In writing and putting together this presentation, I have somewhat foregone academic convention and written at times in the first person, when touching upon subjects such as earthquake and climate change. I found the subjects so close to the bone, I found it impossible not to interplace them in my own personal spirit and feeling. From head to toe, I found at least one thing made in China. So goes a refrain from one of the most popular and broadly accessible Chinese hip-hop songs, the aptly titled Made in China. China is the world's largest emitter of CO2, and arguably the world's largest polluter. But though debate and discourse on the subject may be fraught with peril, it would be naive to judge harshly, place blame, or oversimplify issues which are global and whose handles reach back centuries. As I begin this presentation, I hope that my statements and hard thought out scratching of the ink and clacking of keys will not offend. Earthquake, something of a buzzword in certain circles, is a term invented by the herbal medicine and alternative lifestyle writer Stephen Bremner, which some, including myself, hope will eventually find its way into the mainstream parlance and dialogue around mental health and quality of life conversations. It describes the complex range of emotions, guilt and suffering, which we as humans born into a time of ecological crisis and disaster experience. How does earthquake manifest in China? What are the thoughts and feelings of those who look up to the smoke, dense and starless skies of China's metropolises and megacities? China's journey to become the global superpower that it is has taken an exponential toll on its environment. According to Lee 2016, 75% of the country's rivers and lakes are polluted, 16% of surface soils contain toxic chemicals, and 1/5 of farmlands are no longer suitable for arable production. That said, there are some in environmental leftists and/or progressive circles who idealise China not only for the richness of their culture, but also their general level of clear and straightforward thinking in regards to environmental policy. Sadly though, despite the best intention of government policy, the pitfalls of local officialdom and bureaucracy have often seen protection of the environment and ecological alongside-edness play second fiddle to both the need for China to compete on a world stage with the other global superpowers, and also sadly sometimes the desire to make money in competitive and hard-driven local economies. Mao Zedong's work to modernise China marked the darkest chapter in the history of ecological awareness in China. Forests and trees were felled to fuel backyard furnaces, and large proportions of the populace who had once been rice farmers and agricultural workers were relocated to work in heavy and environmentally destructive industries. Mao's efforts to westernise China's agricultural methods, driven by a socialist and utopian and some would say well-intentioned effort to improve crop yields, ultimately proved disastrous and led to the Great Famine, in which an estimated 15 million people died and countless more suffered. A similar trend is also verifiable in Russian and European communism, generally known as futurism, which in a similar vein as some modern science fiction, saw technical progress as the Deus Ex Machina, which would liberate mankind from suffering. The Russian poet Mayakovsky writes of a world in which pineapples would bloom 12 times a year. I've come across a number of writers and thinkers who idealise China for their sense of ecological awareness. The German hippie and biodynamic agricultural writer Walter Stuhl, influenced heavily by the work of Rudolf Steiner, discusses China as the world's largest producer of organic foods. Whilst these claims seem somewhat spurious, an internet search on the subject turns up results about, for example, pesticide-laced dumplings and other hair-raising stories. On further research, there is some degree of truth to these claims. According to an article from the National Library of Medicine, 28% of China's arable land, or approximately 34 million hectares, is devoted to eco-foods, a designation that includes organic certification, as well as China's unique green and hazard-free categories of food. One of my great heroes in pursuing Chinese studies, the Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Gary Snyder, influenced by the strand of environmentalism which saw claims made in the Judeo-Christian tradition as implying anthropocentric ideas about humankind's stewardship/dominance over the earth, advocated a Buddhist and Taoist type of ecological awareness, heavily influenced by Chinese philosophical traditions. The Black Power rapper and author man of Dead Prez has in modern times also advocated for a Taoist worldview as a possible way out of the intrinsic and intergenerational problems which African American and other peoples face. Even a band as seemingly mainstream as the Wu-Tang Clan draws its name from the legendary Chinese mountain of the same name where Shaolin Kung Fu was born, a fact I suspect many fans of the act may be unaware of. Environmental activism and awareness in China takes many forms. At this point, I would like to discuss a very poignant trend in Chinese fashion, which heals to some extent my own sense of earth-free. In China, young and creative professionals use fashion design as a way to express their earth-free and ecological awareness. The use of non-toxic natural dyes and materials is especially poignant. I personally hope small statements such as these will point us towards a future which is more environmentally aware and sustainable. As to the cycles of the Chinese calendar and the interlinear teardrops of the yin and yang, so too do I believe many have faith that there are ways to cope with and manage the manifestations of earth-free, which have been shown manifest in China